This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Shaun Cole. Welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, the pit crew, you guys really are the star of the show. And I'm going to come back to that very thought in just a second here. Happy Friday to everybody out there. TGIF. I think everybody's getting in a better mood as the holidays get nearer. You know, even if you're not big on Christmas, some people just don't like Christmas. I get it, whatever. I'm big on Christmas. But it's the holiday. It means there's a lot of vacation time, a lot of time to do some sim racing, and the weather's great. It's dark outside at night. It's perfect time. It's cold, which means sim racing, your hot cockpit, that didn't sound right, is a comfortable place to be. And anyway, happy Friday to everybody out there. I love Fridays because generally speaking, everybody's in a good mood. If you watched yesterday, we did something new on the show. We did a live DIY project on YouTube yesterday, and it was sort of a nightmare of a show. The reason I say that is because mistakes were made. I joke, I am a jack of all trades, a master of none. And when it comes to Arduino, I can get into it. I'm not afraid of it, but I do make mistakes. So one thing I want to point out is I had bought a LED strip that actually had a plug on each end. So I cut it in the middle. I actually cut each one to length. And I assumed that that other header was ready to go. And that's what we worked with. And we accused two different Arduinos of being wrong. We accused Shaun's of putting it in the wrong hole. And that wasn't the case. And it turns out, and this is when I say that you, the pit crew, you are the real star of today's show. One person said to me in our patron Discord chat that yes, I did. Thank you, Cranky. That it was the LED strip all along. You know. Anyway, but it turns out that they're directional, so you're not going to be able to see it. Actually, you probably can. Can you see? Do I have to flip it over? There. See those arrows on the bottom? That is directional. Those arrows mean that the electricity must flow this direction. Oh, I got it backwards, sorry. This direction. And that header was to connect another set of LEDs onto the end of it, like if you wanted to just continually add more of these same things, not putting electricity. So this morning I actually woke up and I peeled away the backing and I tapped into these little tiny copper pins, and I put wires on it, and what do you know? The Arduino that we thought was dead worked fine, and boom, the whole thing worked. So anyway, if you did watch that show, that is the correction to get it right. Just make sure your electricity is going the direction of the arrows. Other than that, it's really simple. It's 3 wires. It should have taken me minutes, and it took me hours once again. I'm a little embarrassed by that. So anyway, thank you. I think it was Heiko who caught my mistake. And I think, anyway, a bunch of people chimed in and gave me opinions. So we got it sorted. Thank you very much for the help, everybody. I appreciate it a ton. What's going on in the world of sim racing? What news do we have? So this is actually posted. iRacing was the best place for me to find the results of the BMW Motorsport competition. Remember, we talked about 10 of the world's best sim racers will be battling for a total prize money of 17,500 euros at the BMW Sim Live 2019. Mitchell de Jong went on to win. I didn't want to play the video that far. Was that? Oh, that might have just been. Yeah, that's just showing Martin Crocky. Look at the list. Alexander Voss, Lauren Henrich, Rudy Van Buren, Gregor Hutu, Maximilian Benecke, Maximilian Wenig, Graham Carroll, Nestor Garcia. Those are 10 of the best. And I think Mitchie Hoyer was there working with some of the pros, if I'm not mistaken. Here's the big stage they had there. Here are our winners, actually, top of the podium. Mitchell de Jong went on to win the whole thing, wins himself another $10,000 in sim racing. This kid's winning money left and right. He hasn't won one of those $500,000 checks, but this guy's winning 10 here, 15 there, 20 there, making a pretty decent amount of money. He is an official Red Bull driver, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, I killed the whole world with my bad wiring flow issues when you get a certain age. The stream was an absolute disaster. Yes, it was, JT. I swear that was going to be 30 minutes, and I swear if I had one that had wires sticking out of it, I could do it in 30 minutes for sure. Yes, Mitchell, he is badass, and he does race real-life rallycross, and he's quite good. He's a very gifted driver in any car you put him in, by the way. He took second place in that McLaren competition. He was this far away from winning that whole thing as well. You know, the fastest way to learn, they say it, learn from your mistakes. The stream was good. Thank you, Devin. The big question I have, I mean, sorry to get distracted like this, but did the main camera lens look better than normal? I use a $100 Logitech camera. That's what we're on now. That's what we're normally on for all of our live streaming. Yesterday, I actually plugged in my real camera, and I wasn't sure if it would be in sync. I wasn't sure if it would be clear. I wasn't sure if I'd have focus issues of any kind. But anyway, R Factor also posted about this because unveiled at Munich just a few hours ago, now ready and waiting in the pits for you to jump behind the wheel, drive the brand new BMW M2 CS Racing in R Factor 2. But be aware, it's still hot. Ooh, it's hot. If we go to the store, $5.54 for that car. You know, that's about half the price, third of the price of an iRacing car when you think about it in those terms. And then they have a write-up on their development blog, whatever we want to call it. But yeah, here it is. Some beautiful shots, and they have a video. I need to try that out. I haven't tried it out. Beautiful car. One of my favorite BMWs that's made, to be honest with you. I've heard great things about this. I think we're at that point where a lot of cars are coming out with, I dare say, over-horsepowered. A lot of cars are coming out with more horsepower than the car can even put to the ground. And sure, once you get your traction, horsepower is amazing. But this, from what I understand, is an incredibly balanced car where not only does it drive perfectly, but that the power suits the car very well. Which, of course, is going to leave people who want monster horsepower wanting, I think. 350 horsepower, but you have to understand 550 newton meters of torque, by the way. And then their roadmap, which we talked about. That's what they call them, not dev blogs. Roadmap, we already talked about that. That was back on the 30th. But the BMW, now available, $5.54 for R Factor 2. Dirt Rally, check this out. Now this, all they posted, this was posted 2 hours ago for Dirt Rally 2.0. Something is coming. And then they have this video, and it's only 10 seconds long. Any guesses? Anyone? Anyone have a clue what would be coming to Dirt Rally 2.0 in the spring of 2020? That's all we get. That's the whole tease. Nothing but the tease. So there you go. And of course, if you're watching and you have questions for me, be sure to hit me with a bunch of question marks so I can see it. And if you have a statement that I have to see, don't want me to miss, hit me with some exclamation marks. Just do a series of those in the chat so I can see it from all the other chat as you guys talk about the stories as well. This, I don't want to be a similitist, so I'm going to be very careful with my wording here. But Formula One game, looking for a way to qualify for next year's F1 Esport Pro Draft? You've got one more chance to qualify. Yep, that's right. F1 Mobile Racing. So, you could literally be racing against Tunisia for $500,000, theoretically, if you get drafted. But one of the draft positions is going to come via the mobile game. So, play your F1 on the mobile and maybe become a world champion. Who knows? Seasons 5 and 6, you think that's it, Theodore? Road texture? Game must be elitist. Yes. What else? Nothing else from Codemasters. Other than, I know they have been Dirt Rally 2.0 and Grid, I believe. So Grid and Dirt Rally 2.0 have been nominated for IGN's Best Racing Games of 2019. Not even sure what their competition. I think their competition are going to be some things that we wouldn't even follow, like zombie racing or something like that. So they're probably a shoe-in to win. It's not a tough category on most years. Anyway, but that was also news, and I think we could find that over here at the grid page as well. 11 hours ago, it's time to play. Season 1 Hot Hat Showdown kicks off Grid's post-launch content. Maxwell! Is there something I need to be aware of, or are you just freaking out? Max for the win. Anyway, Grid time. Season 1. Grab Grid Ultimate Edition to snag all of this and all future post-launch content. So that's great. That's cool. And it just made me think, wait, so is Codemasters just blatantly making it obvious that their business model is going to be microtransactions galore? Like you're just never going to get a complete game ever again? Is that the new face? I got to tell you, I don't know who out there is funding these microtransactions, but it pisses me off. Give me a good update and charge, but it's getting to the point where everything has become so a la carte, and then it ends up getting rather expensive. And even season passes don't even cover the entire lifespan of the game. So it's like, where's the true golden ticket that I don't need to give you another dime? Microtransactions are the future, and it's nauseating to me. I have to tell you. Max heard me say zombie. Yes. How did Max get a... Oh, thank you for asking, Sim Contender. It was really simple and easy. The hardest part is me having to soak his foot 5 minutes twice a day in Benadine, I believe, which is like some... Louis Alba, thank you for that. I don't have my stream labels. Let's get our... Where's the checklist, Cole? You've done a show. I think I actually have literally... done a show about checklists, and yet where's my checklist for the pregame show? So many things I want to do. Why? No, go away. I turned on sticky notes. We don't need... Got it. Yeah, go away. No, what the F? All right. Louis Alba has subscribed to us on YouTube. That's what we were seeking. Thank you very much, Louis. Much appreciated. Anyway, microtransactions, a little bit annoying to me. But then again, as I'm such a huge advocate of iRacing, aren't they the worst violators of microtransactions? I mean, for some reason it doesn't feel that way to me. Why? Why is that the case? Charge for refueling. Very funny, Pelican. Forza, World Gaming Network having some sort of competition. But again, more and more... Hey, Shane Lake, how you doing? Yes, I do need my... It's a show about nothing? Is that what we've become? Because I'm biased. Yes, that's fair. I don't know if I'm that biased. I think I call it like I see it, but I am on that particular topic. You may be right, Bob Jenkins. Okay, so World Maxwell, what are you doing? What's going on? Do I need to grab a baseball bat? Max, come here. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. Max, come. Come on. World Gaming Network. We're excited to announce the return of the Forza Motorsport WGN Championship driven by PFAF. PFAFF. Over $20,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Race the North. Registered today, and then they have a link here. So I'm at Forza Motorsport if you want to get in on that. Over $20,000 in prizing. North American competition. So you Forza heads, this might be worth, I don't know. I mean, look, 13th through 16th is getting $125. That might be quite obtainable. Top prize, $7,500 to the winner for the fastest Forza driver in North America. And you can get all that via their Twitter page and go enter that Um, um, the Sim Contender asks, I wish you'd hit me with some question marks, because if I had missed this, I would have been upset. Hey, Shaun C. Brand, how you doing? Would you pay double launch day price? So let's say a game's $60. Would you pay $120 up front to never get another microtransaction and no DLC? So if they gave you the golden ticket version boxed and bundled for $120, would you buy it? I say yes, if I understood your question correctly. The other question is, can I pay $120 and know that it will get everything that ever happens for this title, versus some of the ones I see, like you buy the bonus package, but it only gets you the first 3, and then you end up still having to buy 5 and 6, or whatever. And am I overreacting? I mean, it's totally fair to question, am I overreacting on it being nauseating? Am I just jaded by, let's say I'm jaded by my age, for example. So because I grew up when you bought a console title, I mean, let's face it, Atari 2600 Days. You bought a game, and it came in a cartridge, and you took that cartridge and you popped it down into your machine. And that was that. There was no updates at all, period, end of story. You did that. And that is where gaming started for me on the home level. I've called titles over the counter or box titles, and like if you think about something that you would still buy for a console, like if you went to Best Buy and actually bought it, and I know a lot of them don't even come with the discs anymore, but you own it to an extent and all the content. But okay, microtransactions are also giving you things to the games that didn't exist 10 years ago. There were rarely like updates or expansions, things like that. And to be fair, let's be fair. Way back when, going all the way back to NASCAR before 2003's version. Wow, 2003 already. But going back to like NASCAR 4 or 5, wasn't the Busch series an add-on pack, or the truck series an add-on pack? Now you could buy it at Best Buy, so to speak, over the counter in a box, but you got charged separately for those add-ons for sure. So I think that maybe it's just not a fair argument. You're getting additional content. What's the problem? And here's the other thing. I could take the same argument for AI. If the game was good enough to buy for $50, who's to say that you need the new stuff? Maybe you're content with what you've got. And if you don't want to spend another $10 or whatever it is, no one's twisting your arm. So as long as you're content with the game you got for the money you paid up front, really, I think I need to take a step down from the upsetness of microtransaction, perhaps. I guess the microtransactions that bother me don't apply to us so much, because in normal gaming where you get some unfair advantage because you were willing to spend money, I don't think you really get that in sim racing. So you can't really buy talent in sim racing through a microtransaction. And I think as long as we stay away from that, I need to chill out on that. Yeah, Sim Contender mentions that the DLC is also part of paying to keep it up to date. If everyone bought the game on day one and they want to support the year for the title for 2, 3, 5 years, whatever the lifespan of the title they're supporting, they will need some re-up investment to be able to even handle that. Absolutely. Or expand for the future even. Sometimes that DLC, those microtransactions, are helping those companies develop the next gen of the very game we love to play so much. All right, cool. We you know what? Good therapy, everyone. We've made some good progress. I feel better about myself. Hopefully you feel better about yourself, and I don't think it's all bad. McLaren Shadow, they're just showing off how their drivers had done at various different competitions. Here's the grand finals. Isaac arrived in Woking today for the McLaren Shadow Grand Finals this year has been pretty good to me. Let's finish it on a high. And then here their full report on F1 Esport from the words of McLaren. They're excited already for next year. And quote from their senior manager, the Esport team. And McLaren Shadow only finished in 6th place in the team result. So wonder if we're going to see a change in drivers. I mean, as great as Bono, who he is, he finished a solid 8th in their words. But if you're McLaren really trying to be one of the leaders, I mean, is McLaren not trying to be one of the leaders in esport? I think that's a fair statement, a fair comment. And if that's the case, I don't know if 8th is a solid showing. The team secured 6th in the constructors with Bono finishing 8th, and we don't even know where did Enzo Benito finish. I don't recall what place he finished in. But I'm thinking that's not the kind of results. I wonder if we're going to see a change up in the draft. You know, the draft, this competition, we watched the race during the finals, and it was an exciting thing to watch. If the F1 teams stay in, I know Ferrari is very proud to be the constructor championship in their first go-around. If it continues on the pace it's at, I mean, look, the Pro Series or the Qualifier Series is now to the point where we're ready for the next draft. They're going to be able to go into the 2020 season with some new enthusiasm. Now that we're multiple years into it, I think you're going to start seeing something quite different. Our team's going to release drivers before the draft. So let's just say, and I'm not trying to single out, but let's just say that McLaren's like, all right, you know what? We want to drop Enzo and Ali Pakala. We're going to hang on to Bono, but we're going to drop those two and go pull 2 new ones out of the draft. We're going to see, right now in real life racing, we call it silly season. Silly season, where contracts are coming up and falling on a daily basis, drivers moving all over the place, all over the world. McLaren Shadow is not fastest gamer alive. 8th is okay. It's okay, but I just think, wow, McLaren is trying to be the super powerhouse of esport across the board. Anyway, and not to take away from Enzo Benito, who is hands down one of the best sim racers on planet Earth, and every time he's had a real-life opportunity, like, for example, he's done Race of Champions, you know, I believe he's the only sim racer to have actually beaten a real-life pro in a real car coming from sim racing, which is quite amazing. What other racing game offers credits for competing in their races? Wreckfest. I think Wreckfest does that. Gran Turismo, Forza. Do you mean competing? Like, do you mean if you race enough in iRacing, you get credits, competition credits? What kind of credits do we mean? Just out of curiosity, Rickide. David Hodsell says, I pay $110 every year to iRacing, stay up to date, but ridicule Codemasters as the Madden of sim racing for charging half that for an up-to-date game every year. Okay, David, that's a very, very valid point. Absolutely, that's a valid point. And we can go back and forth on this one. A lot of what I pay for the $110 on iRacing, a lot of is just the servers and competition structure alone, which no other game has anything remotely close to it. So how do you put a price tag on that? But the fact that right now, if we were to all log off of here and go on to iRacing, that we could all crash one of 30 races that are about to get underway, and we could take over the whole room and have a quality server for the most part. There are problems. And if I didn't want to do that, I could go get into the general public rooms and race for points and compete for season points without even needing to do anything about it. So a lot of that $110 a year, which is a very valid point. And you can make the argument for the spick and spanness of a Madden type game where you get your copy, you buy it, you play it, and then at the end of the year you buy a new version with some various updates. I'm not knocking either for the most part. And I'm not sure what I said about Codemaster. I mean, I think it's fair to call them the Madden. Madden 1, 2, 3, 4. What are we up to now? That's Codemaster's business model. I'm not trying to knock it as much as it's fair to call it what it is. I think. I love Codemaster. I love F1 2019. Last time I played it, I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think that iRacing has a very unique structure. So when you use them as a comparison to any other sim, it's a little hard because it's just slightly different. Yeah, and the ability to protest bad driving, which might be somewhat available in other sims as well. But yeah, I mean, this is not a who's better argument. It's a what are you more comfortable with business model. And yeah, but new tracks or cars, is buying a new tire model each year. I'd argue that it's more than a new tire model each year. So I don't think it's limited to just that one single feature. If you're just talking about membership subscription alone, but it's more than that. Again, it's the competition structure and all the sim within it as well. Anyway, yes, I don't disagree with you, and I don't agree with you. I think all these points are valid points. All right, moving right along. Great discussion, you guys. I totally love this. This is thank you so much, David Hotzel. This is what I love about this show. We are here to discuss. It's not just news. If it was news, this would just really be boring to me. At least I don't know about you guys, but for me, if all I did was read the news, I would be bored out of my mind. The show would be 15 minutes long and we'd be done. But it's this discussion. It's how some topics bring up great conversation, discussion. I really try to not be an elitist, and yet at the same time, I'm a sim racer. So all of us sim racers have our flavors that we prefer, right? We all have our sim, our components that we're fans of. That's fair. My attitude, and as a sim racer, I'm no different than anybody else out there. On the other hand, I look at sim racing across the board, and we could be talking about, right here, I'm about to talk about Grand Theft Auto. I embrace anything and everything that gets people into our sport. I think it's really weird how people don't understand the ladder of sim racing, and that you can come into sim racing playing something as innocent isn't a word ever used when referring to Grand Theft Auto, but you could just be the guy who bought a wheel to play Grand Theft Auto because you like the driving so much, and then you find yourself buying Need for Speed Heat because, hey, I have the wheel now and I've enjoyed myself, and then you do that. But now that you're that far in, maybe you start finding some of the other more serious game sims, Grid, Codemasters, titles, because they're very marketed to the public. They're available on consoles for the most part. This is essential to any level of sim racing that you want to be at. And any hobby or thing, we're a pyramid. You have your lower, more mainstream things, but as you get into it, you find that it gets narrower and narrower towards the top. I'll use bicycles as an example. You can go into a bicycle. There's $1,500 bikes to choose from. The bottom end of that pyramid. And that's great. They all work. They all get you to work. They all do your riding for fun, riding with the family, whatever you want. But as we get more and more into cycling, and you get to the kind of bikes that Egon Bernal would ride, and you're talking about bikes that cost $15,000, that whole pyramid is part of it. It's like the food chain. You need that pyramid in order. You have to have all these microorganisms to feed the larger until you're feeding lions, tigers, and humans. So yeah, I really don't try to speak poorly of any level of sim racing for the most part. I really don't. I mean, sometimes we take it seriously, and then those things seem below us. And, anyway, okay. Moving right along. There's currently double rewards on Stunt Series races, speaking of racing, on Grand Theft Auto Online. I thought that could be fun. I mean, during the holiday, I think it's great to do some diversion titles. One of my favorite diversion titles, admittedly, is Grand Theft Auto. It's been a while. I might need to get in there and try out some of those new things like the casino and stuff that they've added to it, speaking of incredible support for a game. But the Stunt Series will be doling out 2-time GTA dollars. There's your credits. There's your credits for wins until December 11th. So I guess I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to be leaving town. Yeah, just drive what you like and enjoy it. Thank you, Carl. I totally agree. And I'm not going to make fun of you for what you're driving or your equipment. With exception to one thing, I did make fun of that guy playing NASCAR Heat with his controller against sitting in a play seat rig next to a bunch of guys with wheels. I did clown him, and it wasn't him that I was clowning as much as how funny it looked in that photo. I'm actually rather impressed with somebody who can race at that level with a controller. Now, if we want to take sorry for the endless distraction, but if we wanted to take it from a elitist perspective, not from my perspective, but to me, an elitist perspective would be looking at, yes, somebody had mentioned, a few of you had mentioned, but Formula One teams, IndyCar teams, NASCAR teams, what software do they use? I don't think there's anybody on planet Earth who thinks for 1 second that there's a NASCAR team playing NASCAR Heat as a sim, preparing their drivers for real-life racing. Now, I'm not going to get in an argument which sim they may or may not use, because you have things that we don't even talk about, like R-Factor Pro, a variation of R-Factor specifically built for Formula One teams. But, when we want to be an elitist perspective, I think the list of sims that those level of teams would use for their simulators is a very small number of sims. But anyway, all right, physical version. Speaking of over-the-counter, in the box, you own it. Physical version of Need for Speed Heat discounted to under $36. So if you haven't tried it and you want to, that title is already dropping in price quite a bit. Speaking of other titles, these are the gateway. I don't want to say gateway drug, but people always make that argument in the drug concept that certain lightweight drugs or alcohol let people evolve to hardcore drugs. And we can argue all day long on the psychology of that thinking or not. There is some truth in my mind to the concept. It's just that doesn't mean that definitively it's truly the gateway. It just happens to be the path, I think. Same thing in video game, like I was saying earlier. Maybe, you started out playing something a little less serious, a Mario Kart. Anyway, but speaking of microtransactions as well, half of Mario Kart Tour's characters are now locked behind its gacha mechanic. Almost half the characters are now locked behind gacha mechanic, which is heavily reliant on microtransactions. So that's one way they're going to play that on the Mario Kart. Now, I think in England, aren't there rules about microtransactions being available to children? Isn't it extra super duper cruel to do microtransactions on a game that's more designed for kids? Having fun is addictive. I agree, Rick Hyde. Well, see, okay, yeah, exactly. Pro teams aren't going to necessarily be concerned with graphics to the level we are. And their competition isn't necessarily the gaming side of world where you're being compared to, like, even explosions and things from shooter games. Feeding the lions. Okay, so anyway, microtransactions all the way down to the Mario Kart. Speaking of which, Mario Kart has been the most downloaded game of iOS in 2019. That's across the board. That doesn't mean versus other driving games. That is the most. This is the #1 iOS game of 2019, Mario Kart. Speaking of gateway. All right, what else? Oh gosh, we have a lot more stories. I better pick up the pace. Ignore the beaten tracks as off-road racing Buggy X ATV X Moto speeds onto Xbox One. I remember the original, the motocross versus ATV. Yeah, it's all right. It's kind of gamey, kind of cool, kind of fun. Anyway, there you go. That's something that'll be available for you. Sometimes these work for your kids. I know a lot of you guys have kids. And if you have kids, maybe you need something to keep them entertained. Farming Simulator 20 is now out. You know, I played a lot of, I think it was Farming Sim 15, then 18 or 19, and then now 20. I played a lot of 15 or 16. I can't remember which one it was. I played a bunch of, an embarrassing amount of hours. Will it show on my Steam how many hours I played that game? Let's go check real quick. Library. Bear with me. Did they stop showing Farm Simulator 15? It says that I have played this game for, are you ready for, I'm going to show you. You guys have to have proof on this, I do believe. 657 hours. That's quite an accomplishment. How many of you have more than that? I'm sure some of you do. How many of you have more than 657 hours of Farm Simulator? However, I bought Farm Simulator 17, and I only played 11 hours of it, which is why I'm getting to. That's really cool. I really do love the Farm Simulator game, but I never played much of 17. I'm not going to be buying number 20. Can you believe it, Tom Jones? Yes, indeed. I will own what I have done in my life. I don't deny things. That is a fact. Ride 4, Milestone. Remember Milestone? They're pretty much known for their bike games at this point. Milestone, well, and rally games. Announced Ride 4 with teaser trailer and collaboration with Yamaha. So, yes, this is another one that you're going to have available. I've kind of stopped playing the motorcycle games, I have to admit, and not even trying to take anything away from them. I'm assuming this is the Yamaha. Wow, we really didn't get to see much, did we? How many of you guys do motorcycle sims of any kind? Whoops, we didn't want to do that. All right, what else? What else do we have? Just credit, I didn't know much about this one, but Speed 51, 100% short track racing, multi-disciplined racer wins the Snowball Derby sim race. Devin Morgan used strategy halfway. You know, that's one of the cool things. We don't really get to do that much strategy in open-wheeled racing and sim racing. It's like, even if we were to throw in a mandatory pit, it usually doesn't affect things that much. You know, oval racing, you know, if we were to have an argument about different disciplines, you know, that's something that we don't take into account a lot, but the amount of strategy that does come into play in oval racing, even in short races, if there's cautions, knowing when to pick and knowing when to not pick is you know, or pit, I should say, is a big question. Anyway, there you go. So congratulations to him on winning that one. Now, I think Billy Strange, and if you didn't check out Billy Strange's thoughts on AI, I didn't get a chance to, but I did talk to him about the AI and iRacing. But go over, check out Billy Strange Racing on YouTube, and you can see some of his thoughts on the AI and compare them to my live thoughts from my show. But we were talking about top 10, top 20, whatever lists. Like, aren't they the worst? I mean, I find myself looking at them like a train wreck. Like, I have to look at them. Oh, a top 10 best racing games. And yet, before I even scroll, I know that I'm going to be outraged. Just somehow, some way. It'll be a terrible list. And in my opinion, it'll make some author of an article look like an amateur in whatever they're trying to rank. But, nice shadow. Yeah, that was kind of a cheesy pick, wasn't it? Hey, Mr. Mac, how you doing? Anyway, so Red Bull. This comes to Red Bull. From Red Bull. So we're going to do it. Get ready to be angry. I already know I'm angry. I scrolled through it. I cheated. And Bob, you're going to know why I'm angry. But, okay, so where's their list? Here's their list. Forza Horizon 4. Mario Kart 8. Dirt Rally. Project Cars, not 2. Whoops. Assetto Corsa. Gran Turismo 6. Forza Motorsport 7. F1 2019. The Crew 2. Gran Turismo Sport. And that's that. Yeah, exactly. Is it a list from 2015, says Tom. Yes, you are 100% right. But, yeah, where's R Factor? Where's iRacing? Where's a current variation of Assetto Corsa? Okay, I could argue with you Assetto Corsa over a Competizione. We could have that as a whole conversation in its own. Project Cars 2 over Project Cars 1 is a no-brainer. Project Cars 1 was kind of a piece of junk, in my opinion. Project Cars 2 was somewhat brilliant. Top 10 reasons why Shaun's a virtual farmer. Go! I'm telling you, despite my Southern California roots, I have a redneck gene in me. And sorry to call farmers rednecks, but coming from Los Angeles, that's probably not that insulting. But yes, I have a redneck gene. I love tractors. I don't know what it is. They're giant machines. I love earth movers and giant bulldozers and construction things. You know, to be honest with you, I love fire engines and garbage trucks. Like, I just love giant automotive machines. So, yes. Anyway, I thought this was a really one of the worst lists ever, and I will say that I expected more coming from Red Bull, and I might now have to start blacklisting top 10 lists. That's all there is to it. I rarely see one that I agree with, and that was one of the worst ever. Igor Fraga, bless his heart. Igor Fraga, one of the rock stars of sim racing, to compete in the 2020 Toyota Racing Series. So he's got another ride. He's heading down to New Zealand to race in the Toyota Racing Series. The TRS is New Zealand's top level of circuit racing using F3 specification cars. The TRS packs in a 15-race championship over just 5 weeks. Wow, that's nuts. 3 races per weekend, I guess, is what they're doing. That's intensive. Fraga will be familiar with the F3 machinery, having raced in the Formula Regional European Championship in 2019, with 4 race wins to his name. The Brazilian ended the season in 3rd place in the table. Well deserved. Go get him, Igor. Go get him. Yeah, I got a lot of Tonka toys when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite things when I was a kid was Tonka trucks, Tonka toys. Top 10 tractor sims. There you go. Oh, I have a scratch in my throat. Hold on. All right. What else? ADAC GT Master Esport 2020 schedule. It's on 80,000 euro prize money. So the money, all the lines keep going up. I'm happy. Anyway, 24 of the fastest sim racers, but basically a repeat of what they did last year with, I believe, more money. I can't remember last year's prize. 80,000 sounds higher than last year to me. So we'll be definitely following that series moving forward for 2020. 2020, I tell you, this is going to be a very big year. It's going to be hard getting through this news show without, on a daily basis, talking about somebody winning prize money. Speaking of which, Esport Earnings is esportearnings.com ranks various different esport competitions and prize money and what game or sim it was raced with. Anyway, This is the prize pool for various different sims. So if you go to Esport Earnings, you can look at what I'm seeing, and we just did a search for racing and tournaments and looking at the kind of money that was available for this year in sim racing. I mean, now some of it's a little loose. Turbo Racing League, look at how much money was on the line for Turbo Racing League. I've never even heard of it, but they were big esport. I mean, not like our little 500,000 for the finals on a weekly basis over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to get into the final, giving 62,500 away on a weekly basis to then be eligible to be in that finale for 500,000. Ranked racing season in Attack on Titan tribute game. Not even sure what that is. 6,000 per race, 15,000 final. A lot of these are at big esport competitions, but let's look here. Forza World Final, 100,000 was on the line. Forza Racing Championship, 75,000. Playoff in the playoffs, 75,000. Playoff 1 and 2, and 100,000 on the line for the finale. Anyway, I mean, you look through the list, and here's the more Forza Racing Championship Grand Finale, another $35,000. It's pretty insane just how much money, and we're going to see a lot more this year, guaranteed. 2020 is going to be very, very huge for sim racing and esport across the board. Crew 2, I've reminded you, but I'll remind you because you're running out of time. I thought it was December 8th, so 2 more days. December 5th through December 8th, you can get your hands on the Crew. I think all you had to do is sign up for, is that a Ubisoft? Wasn't it a Ubisoft account? We covered this on Wednesday's show, I know. But yeah, you just need an account through their store, and you can play that. I think for PlayStation, you need a PlayStation Plus. This is interesting. I'm trying to figure out how this fits into the dynamic of Assetto Corsa Competizione. But apparently Laguna Seca and Bathurst are in the works for Competizione. So this is some kind of an expansion, but this is going to be the first post-release DLC for Assetto Corsa Competizione is in the works, adding the 2019 Intercontinental GT Challenge cars and circuits to the simulation. So this is going to be a whole other kit. This is one of the things we kind of speculated about, the potential of their DLCs being entire packs, and it looks like that might be the case. So anyway, there's a shot. I instantly knew that was Bathurst, but look at the detail. Tell me that doesn't look like a photograph. I'm blown away by this photograph here. And then here, blatantly, look at this shot of Laguna Seca. This is in-game. Look, this is branded Assetto Corsa. This isn't an aerial from a helicopter, which is what I assumed it was at first. That is an amazing version of Laguna Seca and an amazing-looking version of Bathurst. And this could be very, very good for us and for Competizione in the somewhat near future. I don't think we have any kind of a date, despite the pack still being a little bit away from release on the PC title. So, yeah, we have no word yet. Just pretty soon is the word we're getting. Yeah, I wonder what it's going to take on the PC side to run that, because it does that detail is brilliant. I mean, that's photorealistic brilliant. So, is Laguna becoming the whore of sim racing? The slut? This week's Forza Horizon 4 season change, ATS GT, kicks off a festive winter. So for you guys, Forza guys, now you have a few reasons. You got the Forza fastest driver in North America, $25,000. You've got a new season change going on. My dog has become a giant Forza fan, as you can hear. He's going just nutso over it. What else? Interview, Esport, Chadwick. Remember Jamie Chadwick? She sweeps away the female stereotypes. Now, so she wins the women's league championship. Jamie Chadwick, W Series winner. And she wants to help sweep away stereotypes about women racers in the virtual world as well as the real one. That's great. And so anyway, I read a lot of this article here, but at one point they talk about her being at the F1 Esport finale and shocked at the lack of females there. And I think, gaming has a shortage of women. You can make your argument about other sports, other things in life, and the lack of female representation, but what's holding women back from gaming? And can you sweep it away as they're putting it? And I applaud her. I'd love to see more women in the ranks here. Super chat donation, David Payne. Oh, look at that, $20. Thank you, David Payne. David, bring on the pain. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it a ton. We are trying to get new audio here at the studio, so that'll go a long way in getting us there. We're trying to get some new lavaliers for our Twitch stream, maybe even get a second one for what we're doing here. But anyway, I don't know if it's a stereotype you can sweep away. I mean, women, you want to race? Get in. There's nothing holding anybody's back. I'd love to have more women in racing across the board. I'd love to have more women in sim racing. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, most hobbies that you join might give you the ability to meet women doing it. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be a great thing? If we were talking on last Friday, a week from today, about my master plan of having like these VR lobbies that we hang out with. Wouldn't it be a little bit cooler if some of them were women? I'm just gonna say, I don't think that would be a bad thing at all. So women, please jump into the ranks. There is no hold back. There is no financial, physical, any kind of reason whatsoever that you couldn't be out here. Speaking of women in a cockpit, there you go, women in a cockpit. That's not what this article is about, but this is coming to us from Driving Italia, and I don't often do their articles because they're usually pretty brief and hard to read for my browser. But apparently Need for Speed hits a sales record. What is sim racing missing? And I think that's a very fair question. So Need for Speed Heat comes onto the scene. And we've clowned this game here on this very show. And clowned it in a sim-elitist kind of way. Sure, granted. But we've also clowned it for not adding certain features that would be so easy for them to add to make even us happy. But Need for Speed comes on the scene and boom, hits the top of the sales chart. And outside of Forza, Gran Turismo, and Need for Speed Heat, I don't know if any racing game can achieve that. I think in the UK, F1 titles achieve that rank. But what is it that makes these top sellers and makes people not even know that Project Cars 2 is available as well? It's the gamey side of things. I think when we talk about some of the fun factor and some of the things missing from sim racing, right here in this image, we see the nitrous bottle. I'm assuming I have a limited amount of boost, and I'm probably going to get some giant blue or red flame shooting out of my pipes. We've got neon. Look at all the neon and the wet streets and the cool environment, the Grand Theft Auto-esque real world, fake world environment that they've created. And I think that's really fun and awesome. I think one of the things that's missing from iRacing, Sean Morrison, thank you very much for the donation, buddy. Very appreciated. And like I said, we're currently saving up to replace our dead lavalier, so that'll definitely help us get that job done. Happy Friday to you, buddy. But yeah, you think of iRacing, we'll use that as an example. And almost all the races you go to, the track is like it's a Tuesday morning and you're there all alone. So even if you go into race mode, you wouldn't know it. And, there's a lot of excitement in racing. If you go to a real-life racing and the fans are there and the flags and banners are waving and you've got parachuters coming in, you've got flybys by the military, you've got inductions and singing and bands and all this going on the infield. And a real-life race weekend resembles a lot more like the Forza Horizon party than it does the static, dead life of a track of iRacing. Tuesday morning after it rained the day before kind of look. So, yes, I think that is a big part of it. I think the simplicity. I clowned the guy using the controller on NASCAR Heat for the esport level competition. But the reality of being able to play a game and not needing even a wheel. We joke that our sport's cheap. It doesn't take an expensive wheel. You don't have to be a direct drive wheel owner to be a great sim racer. But this just lets you just jump right in and just play it. You don't have to be good. And you know what else? The game's going to probably help you just a little bit and not clown you or make you look horrible for not being good. It's going to still somehow, some way encourage you and help you to play. There are a lot of factors, I think, that go behind it. I don't know if you could call NASCAR Heat a sim. You definitely can call it a racing game, and to see one of our brethren reach the top of the ranks of the charts, that is pretty darn awesome. It'd be like playing some kind of obscure genre of music and knowing that you're never going to get to the top of the charts because no one really is into Celtic punk rock, for example, but somehow somebody in your genre of music hit a mainstream title and it went to the top of the charts, and you'd be like, I never thought a Celtic punk rock band would ever get there, but yet they did. So anyway, I applaud Need for Speed Heat for having the juice, having what it takes to get the general public to buy it on the same scale of a top-selling game and a very competitive market. When you put our niche, because when you put our niche against the mainstream gaming world, we are very small. So that's a big achievement for one of ours. That's for sure. All right, what else? Also from Driving Italianet, talking about Euro Truck Simulator Road to Black Sea. Now I'm getting confused. I thought the Road to the Black Sea already came out, didn't it? This was just posted 20 hours ago. A few days ago, release date of the new DLC was announced. So I guess we've just been talking about it coming out. So anyway, you Euro Truck guys know, I know, again, like I said, I'm a jack of all trades, a master of none. I thought this already came out, to be honest with you, just so I'll take another hit. Yesterday I took a big hit. I can handle this one. Grid Autosport for the Android is now out. We already talked about this, but again, I'm just reminding you, if you're looking for a holiday title, something to play when you're bored at the families, I think this one might be good. This might be fun to play on the phone. I'm not sure. You guys check it out. Let me know what you think. And to finish off today's show, just a couple more things. Number one, a couple of seats posted on Reddit. Rseat's been very good to this show. I try to be very honest when people send me emails asking for my advice. I'm always sharing the fact that, hey, I do love my Xperience wheel, and it's one of the reasons I allowed them to sponsor the show, because I'd be proud to use that wheel. Same thing goes for Rseat. Rseat has been very good to the Simpit. I am very proud to run an S1 chassis. I do love that chassis. If you think of my review way back in the day, there are a few things that could be better about it. It's not perfect, but it is a good sim rig. And so here, anyway, JP Voyer posting his all white. Mine would, can you imagine, if I had a white rig, that thing would be so not white after a very short amount of time. I'm not built for a white rig. Yeah, it's fancy. That's for somebody who keeps things clean. It does look like a Stormtrooper rig for sure. And he's got, looks like a direct drive and a 2-pedal set that I can't make out. It's hard for me to really see. Can we get a zoom in on that? Yes, we will be seeing the LG Rally League results. We will in future shows. That what you're talking about? Absolutely. We'll also be talking about the Simpit F3 series as we move along. Yeah, it's a direct drive wheel with a 2-pedal Fanatic out of their chassis. That looks like, I think that might be Fanatic CSL pedals modified and independently mounted. Anyway, nice looking rig there. And what do you know? Another S1. 2 S1s being posted on the same day. This one by Kason Van B. He's got the silver just like I do. I took this whole side thing off. That thing is the beefiest shifter mount you'd ever get. But it also added like 75 pounds to my rig, it seemed like. So I pulled that off just to make that a little more manageable. And I don't use my shifter all the time. He's got nice looking Fanatic. I like this Fanatic rim, by the way, even though it doesn't have any buttons. I think it just looks super duper classy. So yeah, just need a Stormtrooper helmet. Beyond that, So the Simpit Racing Series has been on hold as we get through the holidays. I'm out of town next week, just giving you guys a little update. So we will do a pit stop on Monday. I'll be gone from Tuesday through Sunday. There will be streaming going on in my absence. I will try to get a show released in my absence, so the show will go on while I'm gone, which is great. And then when we get back, we're going to get right back in stride. I'm not really taking much time off for the holidays. Going to plan on racing with my friends a lot and probably hosting a bunch of Simpit patron events during the holidays just to keep things going. We'll arrange all that through Discord, but I mean, we might even have nightly racing sort of in that period of time before Christmas and between New Year's. And then in the new year, we will kick off a new F3 season. It's pretty much looking official. Looks like, and I'm sorry for the people who are going to be inconvenienced by the time change, but we are switching the series to Sunday at 2 o'clock. For the race, and that should allow all of our European friends to have the time to be able to join us as well. So that'll kick off in the new year. We will be doing a practice race or a fun race tonight, so we're going to use the old time slot, practice at 5, race or qualifying at 6, race at 6:10. If you'd like to join us, just email me, Shaun, SHAUN at thesimpit.com, Shaun at thesimpit.com, and I will send you the password so you can join us for tonight's race, and hopefully we get a good crowd and have a good time. I'll be streaming it both on Twitch and on YouTube so you can see the racing action and see us having a lot of fun. You'll hear all the patron guys on the audio chat with me because we're just having fun tonight on a Friday night. So we'll get that going. I'll send an email out as a reminder, all that group as well. I know it's short notice, but we kind of have been doing this every Friday night, so it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. Beyond that, just remember I will be gone Tuesday through Sunday of next week, and we will be back on the air later for that race on Twitch. Hey, Twitch, we're going to stay live. We're going to play around with a Quake Shaker and try to move that from audio feed to directly controlled by like SimVibe by SimVibe from Xperience. So we're going to do that on Twitch. We're going to take a quick break there, but that's going to do it for today's show. Happy Friday. I say it all the time, but I really mean it on a Friday when you have the whole weekend ahead of you. Get out there, do some sim racing. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get a notification when we go live or when we release a new show. Be sure to check us out on Twitch at Simpit Live on Twitch. And of course, if you enjoyed the show, give it a thumbs up. And of course, tell a friend so we can continue to grow. This is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and I'll see you on the track.